After 4 years, we have the first verdict in the trial in the death of Elijah McClain. Our legal analyst, Whitney Traylor, joins us now. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, it's good to be here.
So this is interesting. One officer was convicted, the other was acquitted. It was a split verdict. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, from the legal perspective, it's not necessarily surprising. What happens is that the jury is given jury instructions, and the jury instructions say, this is the law, and you have to apply the law to the facts. And here, apparently what the jury felt was that Rodema was the primary actor. He had his knee on Elijah McClain's back. He was the one putting all the pressure, and all the aggression was really from him. So essentially what the jury said was they took the law and they said, applying the law to these facts, we think that this officer is guilty and this officer is not guilty. Now that's the legal explanation. From watching the video as a person, as a citizen, it's hard to see how anyone could be found not guilty based on what we know from the video and the medical experts. I mean, and that was what was really, I think, a challenge for the jury. Why they may have deliberated so long was because of the experts in this case. There was just so much technicality to it.
So they took 2 days, basically, yeah. 2 full days before they came down with the verdict. Is that surprising, or what does that stand out to you?
Right. Well, it does stand out, and I mean, there's a couple things. Obviously, the defense didn't put on any witnesses, but they still heard weeks and weeks of testimony. And you have to understand, the jury is sitting in a very passive situation. They're watching this whole time, and they're having to pay attention, which is very difficult when you have 6, 7, 8 hours of testimony of people just talking to you. And a lot of times, these are very medically complex terms, asphyxiation and all these other things. Was it the ketamine? Was it the officers, the way they had him positioned? And so there's a lot to go through. And so 2 days says they spent time really going through this. And of course, it has to be unanimous. So there could have been some of that time trying to convince one or the other of the verdict.
Do we expect an appeal?
Well, I would expect an appeal, just because what happens in the trial is that this is where we determine the facts. Did they cause this? Who started it? Those kind of things. On appeal, we're dealing with issues of law. And so really what that means is the judge's decisions along the way. So for example, if the judge didn't let a certain expert testify, and that may have influenced the verdict, well, that's something that they could appeal, and the Court of Appeals could say, yes, this expert should have been able to testify, and they can remand it. So if there is an appeal, it's possible that you could now have a trial later down the road, if they appeal, which I would expect they would.
We're almost out of time, but I just want to get this last question in. As we are seeing the second trial set to start now, we've got a third trial coming up in November. Does the results of the first one influence what happens coming up?
Right. Well, there'll be pre-trial motions in these next trials and saying that, hey, what happened in this trial should not come in, the verdict shouldn't be explained. But the issue is when these folks testify, they're testifying under oath. So now all of the lawyers in the next trials will have the transcripts. And so they'll be able to go through it and know exactly what everybody's going to say and be able to impeach them if they deviate from that. The defense, I think, has a bit of an advantage having seen how this defense presented it and what worked and didn't work. So it will have an impact whether it's a direct ruling or whether the lawyers were able to glean things from this trial.
All right. Thank you so much for your perspective. We appreciate it.
All right.